Is your fat loss absolutely as effective as it could be? If the answer is no, this video could help you, but not in the way that you might think. There are actually 4 key pillars of achieving successful and sustainable fat loss: nutrition, training, habits, and mindset. But most importantly, consistency, consistency, consistency. In this video, we're gonna go through the fundamentals of fat loss so you can be on your way to lose the 10, 20, or even 30 kilos.
Good boy. Good boy. Good boy. It's okay, buddy. Are you cold or are you scared? Are you cold or are you scared? It's okay.
You're going to see Hang and I go for a walk very often. Walking is actually the key to fat loss. Fat loss is actually much simpler than you think. It's simple, but it's not necessarily easy. The key principles of fat loss is essentially burning more calories than you're consuming. This abides by the laws of thermodynamics, the laws of conservation of energy, and that's just physics jargon for the energy that you consume. You're either going to burn it off or you store it. The energy has to go somewhere. So if you're eating an abundance of energy and your body is not able to burn it off efficiently, then you're going to store it.
So one would assume that if you eat less food, you'll burn fat faster. This isn't necessarily the case. And if it is this easy, then there wouldn't be a reason why most of the first world countries right now are actually increasing in obesity each year. It's obviously not that simple, and it's why jobs like online coaches actually exist. So of course, this is just an oversimplified model of fat loss. So let's delve into the specifics of why this doesn't work sometimes. So first, we need to look at your total daily energy expenditure, also known as your TDEE, or your maintenance calories. Time to wash the M2. It has been probably maybe 2 months since I've actually washed it. That's probably the extent of it. I actually enjoy the aesthetics of it when it is dirty. It feels like a practical car. It doesn't feel like a princess, you know? Feels like it's made to be driven. Only reason why we're washing the car today is tomorrow we are taking on a bit of a road trip to do the 1-year anniversary of buying the car. Driven it, say, 14,000 kilometers. Just want to give you guys a review on what it's like to actually own it for the last year, the things I love about it, things I don't love about it, and I actually want to make it a proper featurette film. So hopefully you guys are going to enjoy that one. So what is your TDEE? It stands for Total Daily Energy Expenditure, and that's the total amount of calories that you burn throughout the whole entire day. It's actually made up of 5 different components. First one is your basal metabolic rate, also known as BMR. And honestly, that doesn't really change much from person to person. It's heavily dependent on your stats, which is your weight, your height. Basically, it's the energy that your body needs to just be alive. If you don't move around, you're completely sedentary, you lie in bed all day. And that's just for you to maintain your bodily functions and organs. And as you get older, that does decline a little bit, but it's probably like 1 to 2%, very, very minuscule. It's more of your habits, which we're gonna move on to number 2, is what most people would associate with burning calories, which is exercise, cardio, any sports, and lifting weights at the gym. Believe it or not, you don't actually burn a lot of calories at the gym. You probably burn around 150 to 200 calories for maybe like a 2-hour session, which is barely anything, because most people go for a really hard training session, think that they worked really hard, and they'll go have a kebab afterwards, and that's around 700 calories. That's 3 times your training session in just 1 meal. And then number 3 is after you exercise, your body's gonna consume a little bit more oxygen for recovery, and that's called EPOC. Now, despite the anagram, it's actually post-exercise oxygen consumption, and that's what we would normally consider the afterburn effect. If you guys have heard about HIIT cardio and how you can burn a lot of calories afterwards, in reality, the afterburn effect, or the EPOC, is only around 3 to 5% of additional calories that you spend during that exercise. So if you performed cardio and you burned 200 calories, for the remainder of the day, you might burn anywhere between 3 to 5% extra of that 200. So honestly, it doesn't actually account for much, but it does account for some part of your total daily energy expenditure. And also, this applies with all forms of cardio, by the way, not just HIIT, low intensity, steady state, medium intensity, high intensity interval, and also when you exercise or when you play sports, any form of high impact sports or high impact resistance training or exercise, the body's going to utilize a little bit more oxygen for recovery. And number 4 of your energy expenditure is your NEAT. And that stands for non-exercise activity thermogenesis. And that is all the energy that you burn when you're not in the gym. For example, me washing this car right now requires energy. A lot of it is subconscious activity, and there are a few things that actually impact it. For example, how much food you eat. Your NEAT accounts for up to 50% of your total daily energy expenditure. You often hear about people all the time, people can eat a lot of foods and not gain any weight. That's because their NEAT can adapt upwards. So think about it, if you don't eat for a couple of days, you're gonna feel tired, your habits are gonna change, you're less likely to wanna go for a walk, you're less likely to even wanna get off your couch. And there are some individuals who have the ability for their NEAT to adapt upwards as they acutely spike their caloric intake. So in other words, they can eat fast food, don't gain any weight because the metabolism is just gonna speed up just so that they can burn everything off. And for people like me who've been overweight my whole life, I don't have that luxury where my NEAT adapts upwards that quickly. It does obviously adapt to some extent, but not to the same extent as a lot of other people. So rather than focusing on how much calories that you can burn at the gym, focus on improving your NEAT. And that might mean going for a walk, trying to be more active throughout the day, standing when you're working, or washing your car rather than going to the car wash. And lastly, most underlooked is the thermic effect of food. That's the amount of calories that you burn for your body to process and break down all the foods that you're eating. So imagine this, you're eating food, your body requires a certain amount of energy to break down and process all the macronutrients into your body, and that's called the thermic effect of food. Now, you might not think it's much, but it actually accounts for quite a lot. Depending on the different macronutrient, protein, fats, or carbohydrates will also depend on how much of the calories consumed is used to break down and process the foods. For example, this is just an average ballpark, but for protein, if you were to consume 1,000 calories worth of protein, up to 25% of it could be used to break down and ingest that food into your body. Up to 250 calories, up to a quarter. Fats is around 5% and carbohydrates is 10%. And what that means is a diet that's high in protein is not only satiating, it's gonna help you build muscle, but also you're gonna be burning more calories. And that, guys, is actually the 5 components that make up your total daily energy expenditure. Now, I am about 80% through washing this car. I actually came to realize that I haven't washed this in over 4 months, so more than a season. And there are some little dirts and speck that I actually can't get out, and I'm gonna have to get my detailer to actually resolve that. I don't wanna ruin the paint. And the moral of the story here, guys, is if you neglect washing your car or you neglect your body for the whole entire year, you're gonna have to do the whole year's worth of work in a matter of weeks. And it comes to a point where the damage that you do exceeds your own capacity. This is now outside the scope of what I can do. I'm gonna have to hire a professional to actually get this resolved. That's the common story and trend that we see for a lot of our clients. They neglect their health and fitness for years, and it comes to a point where they try to do it on their own, but at some point they realize what they're doing isn't working and they have to hire a professional. Instead of neglecting it for the whole year, if I had washed it, say, every couple of weeks, I don't have to put in as much effort, but at least spray it down, make sure that nothing stays baked into the car. My job would have been so much easier. The lesson learned, same thing with your health and fitness, rather than neglecting your cardio for the whole year and only doing it when you need to diet down for summer, if you had done your cardio a couple times a week, every month, well, the job for you to actually get in shape for summer is going to be much easier. Well, some people hate cleaning. I used to hate cleaning. Now I find it really therapeutic, just like cardio. And the reality is, it just needs to be done. So if you can make peace of it, you're going to enjoy it.
This is our my seventh time donating. I think it's his 4th time donating, 4th time? Third time, my 7th time. Honestly, it doesn't take that long. I would actually donate more often. It's good to get. Hang on, I booked in our next session already. In the next 3 months, we can probably donate again. I hope I can donate again in 3 months. I'll be pretty deep into my diet. I got rejected maybe like 3 years ago because I was quite lean and I was really low in hemoglobin. I was just eating chicken and vegetables. I didn't have any iron. But yeah, I definitely recommend that you guys should donate. It doesn't take that much of your time and you can save up to $3.
And also 2 of those components, which is thermic effect of food and NEAT, is going to be directly impacted by the amount of foods that you eat. If you have had a pattern of either crash dieting, so severely dropping your calories, maybe without even thinking, maybe you don't even track your calories, but you just drop your calories severely to induce a very big deficit so you can try to lose weight as fast as possible, what's going to happen is 1, you're going to be burning less calories through the thermic effect of food, and 2, your energy levels are going to be impacted. So throughout the day, your behavioral habits start to change and you might not even notice. And instead of filling up your bottle when you need to, you might do it in 1 trip when you go to the toilet rather than 2. You're going to feel more lethargic, you're less likely to want to get off the couch, and maybe after work you feel lethargic, unmotivated, and you don't have that drive. That all associates with the amount of foods that you have. So think about your car. Your car's only going to move when you pour petrol in, and if there's no petrol, your car's not going to move. And so it's the same thing with you. If you don't eat enough food, you're not going to be able to burn enough calories. So the reason why crash dieting over time doesn't work is it's going to impact your ability to expend energy. So even though you're cutting your calories lower and lower, your body is actually going to be burning less and less calories. And it's not just about the calories you burn when you exercise, but it's all the energy that you're burning or not burning the 23 hours of the day that you're not at the gym.
Ooh.
iPhone 14 Pro.
New
It's
phone,
purple.
who this?
It matches my nail as well. Did I intentionally get my nails to match my phone or my phone?
What's special about this phone?
The camera quality has improved, and then there's a little island at the top. When you minimize your app, it still stays on there. So let's just say you play music and then you close it, there's a music button right here and you can just go back into it. So that's pretty cool.
How much was these 2 put together?
Case was 80. This case has a magnet thing at the back. And I chose a clear one so it can show the purple phone.
Speaking about tech, our watches usually tell us the calories, but the calories on these devices are never accurate. And honestly, these devices would typically overread because these companies are incentivized to overread how much calories you actually burn. Because would you like using a device where, say you ran for an hour and it says that you only burned, say, 400 calories versus a device that said that you burned 1,000 calories? You'd like to think that for an hour you burned 1,000 calories. And so you're incentivized to buy a device that overreads. And there's studies that have been shown that it can be inaccurate by up to 92%. That's crazy. It could be off by so much. I wouldn't even bother using it as a form of calorie measurement. You can use it as relative. Say your device says that on average you burn 500 units, which is inaccurate. On one day, it might go up to like 800, 900. Well, it's fair to say that you might be burning a little bit more calories on that day, but is it more by 300, 400? Probably not. And the mistake that people make is they'll train or do cardio, the machine says that they do 400 calories, then they'll go out to eat 400 calories worth of food. It's probably that they've done maybe 200 calories worth of cardio and they're eating around like 500, 600 calories worth of food. To be honest, there really isn't a way for you to accurately calculate how many calories you burn in a day. The only way that you can is if you attach this device that calculates and measures how much oxygen you're consuming versus how much carbon dioxide that you're expelling. You're gonna spend hundreds of dollars to do this test, and all that test is actually just your BMR. It can't actually consider how much calories you're burning throughout the day. The best way is actually for you to eat an arbitrary number of calories and be consistent with that. We talked about consistency at the start, consistency of your food intake, water intake, your activity, and that's when you have data. That's real science. Weigh yourself every single day, get the mean average from week 1 versus week 2, measure the delta, and that's going to determine whether you've gained weight, lost weight, or you maintain weight. But remember, your maintenance calories, or your TDEE, is actually a moving target based on how much food that you eat. For the basic crux of it, that's probably the best way for you to calculate your calories versus the calculators online. How can a calculator online predict how many times you get on and off your chair, how many times you fill up your water bottle, how much hand movements you have when you're working, whether you shake your legs when you're sitting at your desk? There's no possible way. Anyway guys, that is it for this episode. Hopefully this has been insightful. As always, like and subscribe, and we'll cover reverse dieting on a future episode. Peace.
Peace.